Hello, Blue Marble Riders. A bit of a sad day, week or month for me. As you've probably seen from the thumbnail, this is not a good news video for me. Hopefully you can learn something from it though. I certainly did, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But first of all, if you're not sure what on earth I'm talking about, well, yeah, there's that. And then, well, the trusty Husaberg is still there, the trusty Vistrom is still there, and thank goodness my beautiful Z900RS is still there, but there is a whopping great hole where the Moto Guzzi Grigio is. My newest acquisition, only a couple of years old this summer, and I am already missing it, riding it terribly. It is in a bit of a state. More on that in a minute. Some of the more eagle-eyed of you, though, might see scattered around the garage a few boxes and perhaps some newer items shining around in different places, because that is the replacement equipment for the equipment that I damaged. I'll be talking about those in a different video.
But first, I'll talk about the accident and then the bike. The bike doesn't look too bad initially, does it? Well, let's hope it isn't. But first of all, the accident. I was riding along one of my usual late evening rides, which I love to do to unwind after work. I decided I would take the Guzzi out today. Remarkably, and as I will tell you later on, I made a decision that I never usually make, and it really did play a big part in saving me anyway. As I was riding along, I came up over the crest of a hill and saw a deer. As you know, some of you, I will refer to them often as cloven rats. They're everywhere around here, and they are a real danger for motorcyclists, as I have found out on several occasions, but this time it really was firsthand. I'm not going to take it personally, and before any people out there are worried, yes, the deer survived and made it, and I didn't actually hit it, which probably helped the bike, so therefore we'll call that evens. The deer was in the road. It was doing a two-step. I'll go this way, I'll go that way. It was about 15 feet in front of me. I then saw it move, went for a gap, which I know I would have made had it not been for the fact that there was some gravel on the road, which I hadn't seen because my attention as I crested the brow of the hill was not on the road, it was on the deer. At this point, I was tickling the front brake, and when I say tickling, I mean I was literally covering it very slightly and feeling the first compression of the front forks, just very, very slightly, just in case I needed to use it. Unfortunately, that was enough for the front tire to let go. The gravel was a sort of drain gravel, round drain rock with a very fine sand. Afterwards, when I went back to the scene of the crash several days later, you could barely walk on the stuff. So I'm not surprised the front tire let go. And as it let go, I was in a slight left-hand turn, and so it tucked out from underneath me, and I had a low side, and down I went. In some respects, thankfully, being on the Moto Guzzi Grigio, as every single Moto Guzzi these days, it's a transverse V-twin, meaning that the cylinders stick out either side, rather like a BMW, but not quite as severe. And that allowed me, as I hit the deck pretty hard, we were doing about 70 kilometers an hour, I hit the road fairly hard on my left-hand side and slid out from underneath the bike. The bike departed me and carried on the right side of the road, well-mannered beast that it is. I didn't. I crossed over the center line and started on the oncoming traffic lane. But I remember the whole time my eyes were glued to the bike, stupidly really concerned about the state of the bike and hoping to God that it wouldn't flip. But the bike was taking care of business in typical Guzzi style. It was balanced on its rocker cover, which is on top of the left cylinder head, the massive exhaust, which I hadn't yet replaced, thank goodness, and the foot peg feeler gauge. A couple of casualties as it went down were the side stand foot pivot, if you want to call it that, is worn right through and barely safe to use. The gear selector on the left side, of course, is busted off and dangling, as you can probably see in the picture. The handlebars didn't touch and the tires were lifted off the tarmac, so it didn't flip, and for that I am very thankful, because it would almost certainly be a write-off if that had happened. The bike proceeded down the road, again, as I said, in the right-hand lane, behaving itself sort of almost 45 degrees to the direction of travel. I carried on about the same on the oncoming traffic lane, but thankfully for me, and for you non-Canadians out there was a hockey game on. I believe it was Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. I think the Oilers went on to win it. But around here, being patriotic Canadians, a lot of people were inside. I don't particularly care for hockey, so I thought it'd be a great time to go for a ride. And it turned out, while in some respects it wasn't, obviously, in other respects it was, there was no traffic coming up the hill. Not that it's a particularly busy road, but there's always someone, and I was very lucky I didn't get steamrolled. The bike stopped sliding at about the same time I did. I was several meters up the road from it by this point, separated by quite a distance, and I immediately hopped up foolishly and started running towards the bike. When I got there, I tried to lift it up. It was no longer running. It had turned itself off. I'm assuming there's some sort of gravity switch in it. Perhaps some of you gutsiisti out there can tell me. I'm not sure, but anyway, it was off. Meanwhile, a really nice couple who had been building a wall as I went by, and I'd noticed them looking at the bike. Turns out they're bike enthusiasts and have bikes themselves, and they came running down, saw me try to stand up, and told me to sit down. They lifted the bike up, put it on the side stand, and we chatted while I got my breath back, and they checked me out to see if I was okay. This was my second mistake, and it was that I didn't go straight to hospital. I chatted with them, told them I was okay. I was running on adrenaline at this point, and told them that I was going to ride the bike home, which I did. I rode the bike home in fourth gear. I didn't have the wits at that point in time to attempt to change it by hand into first, second, or third. So I rode it home in fourth gear, slipping the clutch. What a torquey beast she is. She ran like a top, and so this gives me some hope when I come to talk more about the damage to the bike and whether it's a write-off or not. In hindsight, what I should have done and what you should do in this situation is call an ambulance. You really should get scanned. I did end up at emergency later on that night, a little local emergency rather than a big one, because again, my third mistake was I really should have gone to the big hospital and I went to the small one. And they didn't really have the facilities to scan me or x-ray me at that time, although they do have an x-ray and x-rayed me the next morning. I got checked out as best they could, and they did some urine tests to see if there was blood in my urine. They knew that I had damage to my hand, a bit of skin damage, and I told them that I was quite achy inside. He asked me how the energy dissipated, had I hit anything, and I said apart from the road, no, I slid from about 70 kilometers an hour to a stop still. I had all the gear on, and he was pretty sure I was okay, and so let me off without having to go to the big hospital, where I probably should have gone, but I do know I would have been sent home and after being scanned. In hindsight, I did have a cracked rib in two places and a lot of sort of internal bruising, but no major bleeds, which was good. Enough about me, though. Let's talk more about the bike in detail, and I'll show you some shots of it getting on the trailer. That oil below it on the trailer isn't the oil from the bike. There was a small weep from the cylinder head on the left-hand cylinder around those two little black grommets that the cylinder head bolts screw into. Also, the cylinder head or the rocker cover was slightly off center, which made me worry that the cylinder head bolts could have been warped, or perhaps, hopefully, it was just the aluminum being pushed back and distorted. You can see it's fairly badly chewed up and polished by the road. You can also see the exhaust has taken a heck of a beating. I do have a replacement exhaust, although I'm hoping Guzzi replaced the original as well. I'm absolutely amazed at how little damage there was, considering the speed and the length to which this bike scratched along a very nasty road surface, to tell you the truth. It's not a perfect road surface by any means. It's one of those chip surfaces that with bits of rock sticking up here and there. I'm quite impressed with how the bike lasted actually, and it stopped before it started to go through the actual cylinder head. Literally the first fin underneath the rocker panel has a few chips, slight paint chips on it, and that's it. The exhaust is dented and crumpled, yes, and the gear shift is hanging down, and the feeler underneath the foot peg is well ground down. Together, those three things held the bike off in such a way that the handlebars didn't touch. Of course, the question I have is, did the force of it hitting the road translate through the frame or the engine components inside the Guzzi? I do not know, and it is presently at a dealer for them to work all of that stuff out. I'm really hoping it's not going to be a write-off, but at this point in time, I just don't know. This is the Guzzi being loaded onto the trailer to go down to the local Moto Guzzi dealer, which is a fair chunk of island away. It ended up being over $400 bill for this, but that is covered by the insurance company. The insurance company has been absolutely amazing, and for those of you who live on the island or in BC, it's Beacon Insurance. They so far have covered the trailer bill. They will cover 75% of the value of the bike before they write it off. It's valued at $10,000, so if the cost of repairs is over $7,500, this thing will be written off, unfortunately. Hopefully not, though. And they have covered $3,000 worth of equipment replacement, gear replacement for me, which I have already done. So in the next video, I will get to the gear, and I will tell you how it fared, the gear I was wearing, how it fared, and then I will discuss what I'm replacing it with and why. It's been a crazy 3 weeks since the accident, all sorts of different things to do, including rehabilitation, which is going pretty well. There are some parts of my body, the right shoulder, which are not yet responding very well to what I do. It is quite limiting, let's put it that way. I'm really thankful and very happy that me and the bike made it through relatively unscathed. And before you ask me, is this going to have any impact on my riding? No, it isn't. I'm desperate to get back on a motorcycle again. Anyway, I will let you know how I'm progressing, how the bike's progressing, and I will, of course, let you know about the equipment and what I did to replace it. With that said, thanks everybody for listening. I hope it didn't bore you too much, and I hope you got something out of this. I wish I had been filming and you could have seen the whole thing. It would have made for some epic video, but no, I didn't have the camera running. It was merely a pleasure ride. It was one of those local 20-minute rides that we all do and sometimes try to cheat wearing the equipment. Thankfully, this time I put everything on. Perhaps that's the lesson I most learned out of all of this. Okay, thank you, Blue Marble Riders. This is the Blue Marble Rider out until next time. See you in the next one.
Once again, thanks for watching, everyone. If this is the first time you've watched, please consider subscribing. I do product reviews, motorcycle reviews, off-road and on-road vlogs, as well as tours. Don't forget to follow me on social media, that's Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and to like, and especially, I'm begging you here folks, subscribe. This is the Blue Marble Rider, out.